Did that on purpose? Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alamin. MashaAllah. Astaghfirullah. Hey, could you go get my wife and tell them to come over with the children? Tell her to come. Okay. How's everybody doing today? Everybody's good? All right, we're going to have a little quiz right quick. I didn't want to disappoint anybody. So, we like to have a quiz. That's right. Wait, sorry. Here, since you came, just now, you just sat down. Hand those out, please. Everybody gets 2 of those. Since you put your hands up, your hand those out. 2 of each. Okay? Now, those you're going to take home with you. All right? That was a take-home quiz. This is your quiz. Okay, first we're going to start passing around the attendance pass. Well, let's make this a sunnah. When we get in here, whoever gets in here takes out a piece of paper, puts their name on it. That way,
We did.
Barakallah fikum. See the ladies, what happened to the brothers? MashaAllah. May Allah bless you. It's supposed to be 2, guys. 2 pages. It should end with walhamdulillah. You know what's the end? Thank you. Jazakallah khair. It should end with walhamdulillah. I need a date on this paper. You know, you can put the Islamic date. I don't want the Kafir date because I'm not a Kafir, but I do want the Muslim date. Okay? Alhamdulillah. No, I want to talk on his paper. So, let's go, ladies. So this is like I said, this is a take-home test. See how we're going along here?
Which is take-home.
Sorry?
This is take-home test?
That's the take-home test. Now we have a quiz. Take out your piece of paper. We're going to head the paper. First thing, you put your name on one side. You put the date on this side here. You put quiz in the middle here. The first question here is you're going to write out the maqasid al-sharia. Maqasid al-sharia poem. Write it out. Okay, that's the quiz, first part. Write out the maqasid al-sharia poem. Part 2 of the quiz. Please list for me the 5 ahkam mush-shar'iyya plus 2. List. That is the quiz. When you're finished, just let me know. I know it's your first day, so just hang tight, okay? What's your name, sir? Omar what? Omar Mack. Abu Jal. Good to meet you as well. Yes, sir.
You mean examples or just the 5?
Just listen. No examples are necessary.
Mafi.
No examples are necessary. Just list them. Did you get one of these, honey? Oh, you don't. Yeah. Hassan, did you get a folder?
Yes.
Did I even come back here and get what you need? Candy? It's not open book that. But if you're cheating, you try. Anybody else? No, this is
You see, this is a take-home test?
that one is a paper one. This one here is the quiz right now. Quiz right now? No, quiz is up there. You keep the quiz. Thank you. The difference between a quiz and a test is I take the test home and grade it. The quiz we do in class. We do it in class, so keep your quizzes. You're going to grade it yourself, okay? I forgot to ask the ladies, is there anyone that needs a new folder? Everybody had a folder? Because I thought last week somebody didn't get any. Okay. Whichever color you like. And if someone comes. You have a few more moments.
Yes, Shaikh, may I have a phone?
Oh, sure. I thought, here. I got the documents. I'm sorry. Anybody else need a folder?
I forgot my name sticker on it.
Boy, I want to see, that's right, you have to put a name sticker on your folders, because I may collect them sometimes, okay? Yes, sir.
I wrote my name on it. I don't have a name sticker.
Well, that's not what you were asked to do.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't.
Well, then now you understand, correct it, adjust, you know? That's all. Because this,
What's that?
you guys talking during the quiz? What school you went to?
I caught myself. I'm trying to get the date.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that part of the quiz? That's only part of the quiz.
What are you talking about?
Date.
Don't, that, you know?
That's part of the quiz too?
Yes, it is. Because you have to learn how to listen and follow instructions. That's part of it.
Everybody needs to sign their attendance.
And also, it's part of the quiz is for you to know what the real date is to practice in being on the fitr. Does that make sense? All right, you're done. Time's up. Quiz does not take that long. What is that?
That's the attendance.
Okay. Okay. It's just like anything else. You get stronger and you get quicker at doing it. That's all. That's part of what it is. I want you to get stronger at doing it, and I want you to get quicker at doing it as well.
What happens if the dates don't coincide? Do you have a phone calendar? There's another calendar?
You just take an educated guess at what it is. Normally, thank you. Normally when the date, what do you,
Here it is.
no, just hold it down, guys. Normally, when it comes to the date, the Islamic calendar is within 2 days. You know, sometimes some people would say it's the 14th and others would say it's the 15th. You can't say it's the 18th. Maybe it's the 14th or the 15th. You get my point? So, alhamdulillah, I mean, some little ikhtilaf is allowed. The point is to be on the fitr and to be conscious of what the reality is. And and not to get swooped up in what they call the matrix of kufr and allow the mentality of the kuffar to overtake us. That's what's vital and important. Okay, let's go over this test. This quiz. We put our names in. What's today's date?
Shawwal 23rd, 1440. 23rd Shawwal.
Okay, 1440. Thank you very much. Somebody might put the 23rd of Shawwal 2000. What is it? 19. Then pay attention to what? I want to teach you this statement. When I say pay attention, I want you to say
Details.
details. Pay attention to what?
Details.
Very important. Pay attention to what?
Details.
Details. You have to participate. Okay? So it's very important that we constantly make mention of these particular types of things. So as we go forward, we can constantly go back and pick up on those pieces as it pertains to our progression. Does that make sense, everyone?
Yes.
Don't whisper.
Yes.
Okay. So, Maqasid al-Sharia, could you recite for me the poem, please? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
Islam has came to preserve and protect.
Stop. I do not want a lackluster, presentation. Okay? Part of the reason why we do this, stop talking, ladies. Part of the reason why we do this is to get in the habit of presenting, of regurgitating on the spot. Hesitation kills. Okay? We have to be ready. You're going to have to utilize this under pressure in the real world, right? So that's why it's done under pressure. A lot of people, not a lot of people, people who are not familiar with the ways of teaching, blame teachers for putting pressure on students. Right? Sometimes you find people saying, "Oh, I want to send my child to Quran school, but the teachers are kind of mean. They're aggressive." Yes, that is part of teaching Quran. But why? Why can't you be like, "Come on, Habibi, let's and why can't we be like that?" Because that's not the way Jibril gave it to Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When he came, did he say, "Okay, Muhammad, now it's time to recite. Go ahead if you like"? Did he do that? What was the situation? He told him, "Fi'lul amr, read, iqra, in order." And he said it in the order form, not a "come on if you like." And when he hesitated, what did he do? He snatched him. He didn't press him. This is bad translation. He pressed him. "I'm going to press you." Is that what he did? Jibril was in the sky. He snatched him up and squeezed him. What was the Prophet's mentality at the moment? Was he like, "Oh man, this guy's pressing me"?
He was afraid.
What kind of fear?
Yeah.
Terrifying.
He was scared. First he thought he was going to pass out.
He was terrified.
Right? Then he dropped him. Told him again, "Iqra." When he hesitated, what did he do? Snatched him up. This time he did it even more severe. And this time the Prophet felt that he was going to die. He put pressure on him. And we and every Quran teacher after that, we live on that sunnah. We put pressure on the student. We put pressure on the student not because we want to break them, because we want them to make themselves. You have to understand that when you're going to have to recall Quran, normally it's going to be a situation that is something that's anxiety filled and frightening. And if you're not accustomed to regurgitating it on the spot, under pressure, you're not going to be able to do it. And that's when you most need it. Does that sound correct?
Yes, sir.
And this is the reason for that particular stance with regards to teaching the Quran to people. What we have to do is we have to study history, because when we study history, we can see what we are repeating of history in a negative way. One of the things that we can study from history is the biography of Sultan Abdul Hamid, rahimahullah, the last of the great sultans in the Ottoman Empire, the man who fought the Masonic order in his country for 30 years. And it's only after they took him down that so many things changed globally. Okay? Once he died, was it 1909 or in the Catholic calendar or 1908? Immediately you see World War I, right? Yeah. You see what happens, and you see starting immediately what happens in Africa. The Great Wall of Benin in 1910 gets burnt down. Now the Great Wall of Benin was bigger and longer than the Great Wall of China is today. British ran in there in 1910, destroyed. The Songhai Empire, when did it fall? It fell in 1910. Is this some coincidence? It's not coincidence. But what was because the empire, the Ottoman or the Islamic Empire was no longer being protected. But what were the people doing? Trying to be like crusaders. We were saddling the fence. Being Muslim this way and Kafir this way. And this mentality is repeated today by us Muslims. We cannot have it both ways. And we have to learn from our real history in order to not repeat the same mistakes going forward. Inshallah, that should gain attention. All right, so, Iqra'u.
Islam has came to preserve and protect, prioritize and always respect my deen, my mind, my wealth, my honor, my lineage, myself.
Again.
Islam has come to preserve and protect, prioritize and always respect my deen, my mind, my wealth, my honor, my lineage, myself.
Again, louder.
Islam has come to preserve and protect, prioritize and always respect my deen, my mind, my wealth, my honor, my lineage, myself.
Now own up to the mind. My deen, emphasize it. My deen, it's personal. The beauty of Islam is that it has come, as granted as it's personal. It's come to preserve and protect, prioritize and always respect my deen. Now recite it again.
Islam has come to preserve and protect, prioritize and always respect my deen, my mind, my wealth, my honor, my lineage, myself.
These are the maqasid, the objectives of the Sharia. It is vital that you memorize this, that you embody this, because this is the beginning. This is what everything at the end goes back to. You understand? Every rule that we will follow, every rule that we will learn, the objective of that rule is to preserve these 6 principles, these 6 concepts, these 6 ideas that Allah has put is part of our humanity. Okay? And when you lose sight of those things, then we have devolved. Okay? Now, someone asked me earlier, what was the question you asked me?
I wanted to know why the separation between my mind and myself.
Okay, so when we deal with the maqasid of Sharia, what is the first one?
My deen.
My deen. My deen. Let's put it here. Now, how does Allah protect our deen? First of all, what is our deen?
Can you write in Luga Arabiya?
I can. What'd you say? Somebody tell me, what is deen?
Our culture, the way we do
Our
things.
way of life, our culture. Give me something palatable.
The way we see it.
Say again.
Submission to Allah's will.
Submission to Allah's laws. That's not, I want something practical. What'd you say?
I didn't say anything.
Somebody said something over here.
We live from day to day.
Okay, that includes our work.
See it.
That's okay, that's part of it. I'm going to tell you. How we walk. That's part of our deen. That's right. How you walk.
You don't want to swag. You walk
How did the Prophet walk?
straight smooth.
He walked fast.
You went fast.
He walked so fast that the people had to they described walking with him as making jihad. He used to pick his feet up and he used to walk with purpose, as he stated. He walked with purpose. So that's part of our deen. And I've noticed, I've tried this out. I went to Staples or one of those places and I walked real slow. I walked kicking rocks, you know. And all the ladies were like, yes, you know, can I help you? And then I went out and I came back in and I walked with purpose. Nobody said anything. They just left me alone. Because some of the ulama said that walking with purpose prevents zina. And I said, amazing. Amazing how they can bring that out of walking with purpose. How it saves time. Isn't that something that's important to us? Isn't that from our usul? The believer has no free time? Yes or no, guys? Yes. We went over these introductory mentalities, right? And one of them is awqat, right? As-sihhatu wal faragh. Say it. As-sihhatu wal faragh. I'lamu anna ra's al-mal al-abdi awqatuhu. Know that the chief investment of the slave is his what? His time. فإن صرفها فيما لا يعنيه ولم يدخر به ثوابا في الآخرة فقد ضيع رأس ماله. So if he wastes his time doing things that do not concern him, do not make for him a reward in the hereafter, then he's wasted his chief investment, right? Yes. So walking with purpose saves time, prevents people from filling him up with lagwi. It embodies the ayah of Allah which says, وَإِذَا مَرُّوا بِاللَّغْوِ مَرُّوا كِرَامًا. And when he passed by foolishness, he passes by with some dignity, with some honor. Does that make sense? Yeah. So our deen is our way of life. How we do anything and everything that is not tied to ibadah necessarily. Does that make sense? Yes. That's in one angle. But in a comprehensive way, it includes all of our ibadah as well, including our mentality, our aqeedah. So the way Allah preserves that is by making shirk haram. You see that? The way Allah preserves our deen is He made shirk haram. And He established tawheed to preserve and protect it. Does everybody follow that? Yes. He established the sharia. So we have that way to follow. This is what we say. He said He created us and He didn't leave us hamala. He didn't leave us hanging. But He made orders and He made prohibitions and He set an example. And He made kafara and istighfar for us to be able to preserve our deen so we could come back. That's the first thing. What's the next thing? Don't whisper at me.
My mind.
Islam has come to preserve and protect, prioritize in all respects my mind. Now my mind is different than myself. Okay? My mind is my intellect. My mind is my ability to hisab, to figure things out. My aql. So my mind, I'm going to put it here. Mind, and here we're going to put aql. Naam, ayn, qaf, lam. My aql. How has Islam come to preserve and protect my intellect, my aql? Give me one thing. Al-khamr. Anything that gets me drunk, gets me high, besides Quran in ibadah. Because in reality, the high that we get from ibadah is what all the kuffar are looking for with drugs and all the things they do. Okay? So, to preserve our mind, Allah has made everything that befundles my mind, that makes my mind not work properly, He made it haram. Even reading material. Okay? Because a lot of reading material that they push out today, and TV, you know, I call it TV, they don't call it TV no more, just internet, right? All those programs, not all of them, some of those programs are designed to alter the way we think, right? Yes. Also, because Allah is preserving our mind, He made certain foods haram. Isn't that the first trick Shaitan did? Yes. What did he do? He made us eat. He tricked us into eating something, and eating that thing, what did it do?
Expose the nakedness.
No, that's not. You're getting. That's Tafseer. I want to tadabbur. What did it do?
Poison the mind.
No, it changed our nature. It changed our natural fitra. It took us off the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intended us to be. And is that being used today, Eunice? Is there food today? Don't nod at me, speak.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there's food out there today that if you eat it, it's going to alter the way you act. Right? It's going to make you act and think crazy. It's going to mess your mind up. Is that correct?
Yes.
And one of these things is, what do they call it now?
Growth hormones.
Growth hormones or whatever they put. What's it called?
Genetically modified.
Genetically modified organism, whatever that is. You know, that's like, it's like you ever see that movie Alien. What they put in the food? It's an organism. That means something's alive. That's basically what they're saying. Something alive has been, it's not organic. It becomes a genetically modified organism, living thing. Okay? So these things have been made haram for us. And Allah tells us that. He says, eat the things that are pure and tayyib and don't follow the footsteps of shaitan. That's directly related to what you eat, isn't it? Okay, so that has been in order to preserve our mind. And we have to understand these things in its comprehensiveness in order to become thinking people and reflecting upon what we see in society. That's why we start with the objectives of the Sharia. Because even if you don't know every rule of fiqh, once you know the maqasid, you can now start using your intellect. What you can see to apply these rules, these concepts. Does that make sense? Because fiqh is fiqh is like 10 subjects. Did you know that? The first one would be, madakhil al-fiqh. That's number one. Somebody keep count because I lose count. Madakhil al-fiqh would be like introduction to fiqh and the history of tarikh al-fiqh. That's the first thing. And also in the history of fiqh, it would be like the development of fiqh, how it came about, right? And those famous biographies of those famous fiqh scholars. That's one. Second would be usul al-fiqh. Okay? Usul al-fiqh is, basically the what we're going to call the fundamentals of fiqh. Okay? You learn a whole lot in, again, the wajibat. Let me do it like this. The terminology. What is general, and order demands wujub, these types of things like that. Then the third thing would be fiqh al-madhab, okay, following a particular madhab. The fourth would be the opposite of fiqh al-madhab, which is fiqh al-muqarin. What do you call it in English? Comparative, but also with that is called ijma, what they agreed upon and what they disagreed upon. This is a study. Because I like to study it the opposite way. When I teach it, before we teach the madhab, we teach the ijma. Why? Because first thing you should learn is what everybody agreed upon. Right? So then you have a foundation. Because remember, 70% of all of that is agreed upon. So then when you go to the madhab, it's just a way of applying that and then learn that 30%. Does that make sense? What number am I on? 4. So after you have fiqh al-muqarana, then you have ayat al-ahkam. When we study the ayat of the Quran that are particular for the rulings. 500 ayat for ahkam, right? And stories make up. You see my point, guys? And then we study the bulugh al-maram, which is ahadith al-ahkam, right? Which are the hadith evidences of the Sharia. What number am I on? 6 right there. Then at this point, then you go to maqasid al-Sharia. Qawa'id al-fiqhiyya. Maqasid al-Sharia is study. Okay? Along with the ahkam al-Sharia. Also with the, Qawa'id al-fiqhiyya. Where am I at? Now you have the futya, ilm al-futya. Meaning the knowledge of how, we call it futya. I know most laymen call it fatwa, but that word isn't even used 11 times in any of the sources of the people of the past. In actuality, the word is used futya. Okay? And the science is called the ilm al-futya. The science of the mufti wa mustafti, the one who asks the question and the one who answers the question that may not be directly related with a direct rule. So you have to build on that. And also along that is the fann al-muhamiyin, the art of the muhami. And the muhami is like a lawyer in the English language, the one who writes the contracts for you. The notary public, the one who writes the marriage contract and those types of written documents and contracts. This is all under futya. And then the last one will be ilmul qudat, the science of judges. You know? So then we have, that's all in fiqh. That's just fiqh. Now, if once you go through that, and it's not a long, what it is, because once you get to basic fiqh, it's like usually 3 levels. You have a primer, you know, then you have an intermediate text, then you have an alafiyya in that regard. Unless you do Maliki fiqh, which is 4 levels. You know, and then it can go on forever. But there's a basic that you say, okay, here goes a standard. You get my point? With Maliki fiqh, it might be a risala. If you're a layman, that's 3 levels. If you're a talib al-mukhtasar khalil, it's 4 levels. Okay? And that's just in that. So, instead of getting through all of that at one time, where should we start? We start here because we're laymen here. We're going to introduce the maqasid, the basic primary understandings of the objectives of the Sharia. So, my deen, my mind. Okay? Now, since he prevented those other things, what has he allowed to help our mind? Quran, seerah, history. You get it? So that we can learn real things. There is a very bad thing of constantly introducing to children television programs that make them arrest their reality. If you watch Superman, what do you have to do? You have to suspend your reality. Because otherwise you can't enjoy it. Because the man is defying gravity, right? So when the child, you know, I think they have the American Pediatric for Children Society. They say that letting a child watch any of these programs before 6 is detrimental to their mental health. That's what they say, the kuffar. Yet we do all the time. As opposed to screening it and making them watch realistic programs. Programs that are reality, not just reality based, but are true to history. Now what happens? I call it the MacGyver thing. Or even if you want to do Superman. You tell a child and this young person, and he says, okay, I have a problem. What does he do? Let me go find a solution. He starts searching his head. What does he have there? Superman. He's going to run to a booth and turn into a suit, and somebody's going to come and save me. No. And in order to get past that, to get to what did the Prophet do? What did Ali do? What did some of the famous people? He's got to go through all this stuff that's in his forehead that he's been seeing, and that caused him to have what? A headache. Right? He's got a headache to go through all of that to get through, and he can't find a solution. So what does he do? Dope up. Ignore it. Distract himself. Procrastinate. Because he doesn't have any real solutions that are prevalent in his head. Because he's been watching all this make-believe. And that's detrimental to his mind. But when he's exposed to so much reality, real heroes, people who actually did and had solutions, had problems and they had solutions that are based on righteousness and following the Quran and the Sunnah, then he's quick to come with a solution. He begins to respond the way Abu Bakr responded, and Umar, and Uthman, and Ali, and everyone that comes next after them. After that, a man has a choice of who he picks. So, this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed Quran, seerah, history, in order to preserve our mind and give it good examples of what to do. Let's put that into practice. And the fact that we have it shows we have all these B-rate programs that we can't get ourselves to watch, let alone our children. We want them to watch something Islamic, but there's not there. Then why aren't we making it? Why aren't we making it? We have these game bats on the floor, these little mats that you put on the floor for children, and it has a make-believe town on it, right? Everybody know what I'm talking about? There's a green grass, it shows a bank, it shows this, that, and the other thing. Why don't we make one like that to show Mecca and Medina? How much does it cost for the Muslims to do that? So that every child grows up knowing where what is what in Mecca and Medina. Wouldn't that be something subtle that we can do? But we don't care. How many IT guys we have amongst the Muslims? For almost 8 years, I've been asking people to make an app, to make a game, a video game, where you can play Go Make Hajj. and you pick up the things you need on the way, you get points, and you don't have it, you go back and you do the thing. Can't get one IT guy to do it. Do you get my point? Or people to put their money. Why? Because we don't care. But we're going to play all these other stupid games that the Muslims are playing. We are following the steps of the young Turks who gave away the Muslim Ummah. That's what we're doing. Who gave it away for their idea of what independence was and never received it. You know? So we have to understand the objectives of the Sharia and then use our creative minds to establish that. Islam has come to
preserve and protect, prioritize and always respect my deen, my mind, my wealth.
Stop. My wealth. The next thing Islam has come, let's put this up here. Well, I'll put it up here, make it look nice. Wealth. Al-mal. Al-mal. It's called mal. Mal means to incline. Okay? There's a famous poem that says, رأيت الناس مالا رأيت الناس مالا إلى من عنده مال وإن لم يكن له مال فمال عنه ناس. So it's like, so it means like, why do they call it mal? Because anybody who has it, people incline towards him. And anybody who don't have it, they incline away from him. You get my point? So it's called mal, which is dhahab too. We say the same thing about gold. Dhahab. الناس يذهبون إلى من له ذهب وإن ليس له ذهب ذهب عنه. Okay? So you can say the same, that people go to him. You got gold, I'm gonna go to you too. Give me a pound. You know how we say, give me 5. Well, give me a pound of gold. Inshallah. It's the only time I'll count in pounds. Oh, give me a kilo. That's even better. But my point is, Islam has come to preserve and protect, prioritize wealth. Okay? And always respect wealth. And for this reason, what did Allah do? He made stealing haram. Right? He made all forms of deception in business practices haram. You get my point? Right, yes. He gave rights to the whole ummah. Obligation of the whole ummah to protect the rights of the orphan and the one that doesn't have anyone else to advocate on his behalf. Which surah? No, not Ma'un. But yes, Ma'un as well. But which one? Surah Nisa. We talk about societal rules, right? It's in Surah Nisa. The first thing in Surah Nisa, right? Wa'atu aytama amwalahum. But don't mix your trash with this stuff. Literally.
Right.
Okay. Al-mal. And he also made riba. Yani ribh. What is ribh in English? Profit in sadaqah. Okay?
Interest.
No, I said ribh, not riba. I said profit.
Okay.
Yeah, Allah has made sadaqah become profitable. Okay? So yurbi sadaqat, He makes it grow. Okay, this is what Allah is showing. So that's what He's teaching us, to put it, to prioritize it. You see that ayah? Allah is telling us, don't worry about the other thing. Why? Because your amount of wealth you're going to get is already given to you. It's already there. That's the last thing you got to worry about. Okay? It's a given, literally. But you want more? Then give sadaqah. That'll make it extend. No one gets poor by doing and giving sadaqah. In its all different forms. Does that make sense, everybody?
Yeah.
And this is how Islam has come to preserve and protect our mal. Okay? Islam has come to preserve and protect, prioritize, and always respect my deen, my mind, my wealth, my honor, my lineage. I'm going to put honor here and lineage as well. Well, I'm going to separate them. That's what I'll keep them separate. Honor. I like to also say that we can use the word dignity. We can use any of these words that are similar to this. Because the word that we're talking about is your ird. Okay? The word in Arabic is ird. Ayn ra dab. Ird. Which is dignity and honor. Respect. Okay? All these types of words represent, when not in English, honor and dignity. That means, how does Allah preserve this? Guys, come on, somebody tell me.
Marriage?
That's one way. Through marriage, that's one way marriage is given honor and dignity. That's one angle. Another way that I'm going to say, without someone being married, he has made, backbiting and slander haram. Isn't that what people do mostly, to tear away someone's honor and dignity? Isn't what the New York Post, established on that? And some of these other, we call them rag papers. They character destroy an individual. Character assassination. Barakallahu fikum. And then we do this in Islam.
Yes,
Not we do this in Islam. There are those amongst them who follow the minhaj of the kafir while claiming to follow the minhaj of the salaf. Okay? Because character assassination is not from Islam. It's not from the sunnah. We are supposed to point out the flaw, not the faulty. You get my point? We have not come to assassinate the sick, but to cure them. So we look at what are the descriptions of the sickness, and then we go and try to cure that by the way of the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But that's not what some of us do. We want to destroy the reputation of an individual. Okay? And we run with this. And this is not the minhaj of the salaf. We don't even know Fir'aun's name. And he was considered the worst person ever. We don't know his name. That shows us that his name is not important. But what he did, the characteristics of the munafiqun in the time of the Prophet, these are people who Allah has told they're going to be asfalan min an-nar. They're going to be in the lowest part of the fire. We only know like one of their names. And the Prophet didn't expose him. Right? Did not expose him and gave him honor in his death. Abdullah ibn Salul was the only one they knew was a known hypocrite. A known hypocrite. All the rest of the names of the hypocrites, nobody knew. But the Prophet and Abu Hudayfa. Hudayfa. Radiyallahu anhu. They didn't know their names. But what happened when Abdullah ibn Salul died? His son came to the Prophet and said, Ya Rasulullah, my father has died. And I know who my father was. But he was my father. And I want to do something for him. What did the Prophet do? He's right. He took his shirt that he was wearing on his back. He took his shirt off his back and said, bury him in this with honor. How he preserved that man's dignity. Even 1440, 50-something years later, we would all love to be buried in the shirt of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But he gave that honor to one of his companions, fathers, out of respect for his companion. You get it? Even though he knew that his father was a known hypocrite. And then he didn't talk bad about him. We knew who Abu Jahl was, right? Yes. The chief of the enemies of Islam. But when his son Ikrimah came to Islam, the Prophet told his companions what? Ikrimah's coming. And maybe, he says, and I have hopes that he'll come to Islam. So don't mention his father as Abu Jahl in his face. When he's around, don't refer to his father as Abu Jahl. But what do? Somebody, and backbiting has degrees. If it's haram for us to backbite someone who is doing something we see them doing today, okay? It's haram for us to backbite that individual, right? It's even more haram for us to backbite somebody who did something 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 days ago, and they stopped doing it. They're no longer doing that thing anymore. But we're going to backbite them as though they just did it. Does that make sense?
No.
And this is how we have devolved in our humanity, in our intellect. Because not only do we see it, we don't say anything about it. And this is cowardice. And this is a violation of the rights of the Muslims, because we're supposed to preserve their rights. There was a time in the Prophet when they were going to Tabuk, And the Prophet ﷺ saw someone coming in the horizon, and I think he said, Bi Abu Dhar, I believe he said. And somebody,
Abu Dhar, yes.
huh?
Yes, Abu Dhar.
It was, I said, Bi Abu Dhar. And someone said, oh, it's not Abu Dhar. His garden or something kept him back. Okay? Somebody said that. And then Abu Mas'ud jumped up and said, you're a liar. We don't know nothing but good about Abu Dhar. You see that? He immediately defended his brother by saying, you're lying. Why is he lying? Because in the Arabic language, in balagha, it is a lie to say something that you are not sure of. Even if someone else told it to you, you're still lying. Like if I say, Zayd went to the store. Why? Because Nazih told me that Zayd went to the store. And Zayd didn't go to the store, then I am a liar. Because what I should have said was, Nazih told me that Zayd went to the store. That's al-haq. The moment I put it forward as a fact, without knowing, I lied. That's balagha. And that's why we have an Abi Hurairah, an Amir al-Mu'mineen. That's why we say, on this person's authority, this is what happened. Get the point, guys?
Yeah.
No.
So even if it doesn't turn out to be true, I spoke the truth. And so someone said something about your brother. I don't know nothing bad about him. So, what you're saying is not true. Bring your proof or bring your back. And this is the hypocrisy that we have nowadays as Western Muslims. We want to claim Islam whenever we want to. But then whenever the Islam comes to do something that might check us, we revert back to we're Westerners. We can't do that because we're Westerners. You get my point? 1 minute we want to be super Muslim, and then whenever that turns on us to make us have some type of detrimental affair because of something, some consequence. No. We're Western. We're in the West. We, can't beat my back.
Be polite.
Be polite. No, shut up. That's what the thing is about. Really, people need to really basically stop talking and learn. And it's not hard to learn. You just have to be consistent. That's all. And just stop. We don't want to stop. Because of this Western madhab of being like wolves, meaning savages, where we are used to doing whatever we want to and not being told that we are not able to do whatever we want to. And this is the simplicity of Islam. What is Islam teaching us to do? Submit, surrender. That's it. That is the whole of Islam. Just surrender. And we should admit that that is something that that is it. That's all we have to do is surrender. Okay? We refuse to. It's conditions. Am I surrendering if I put conditions? No. See, even the baby said no. She said, hey! She said no. So from the dignity and the honor of the Muslim, we cannot slander or backbite them. And I mention that because that's a major thing that happens on internet and on phone and modern media today. Okay? Allah has made that haram. Now what has He made? Honorable. Marriage, speaking the truth. There's a statement in amongst the people of the past that as long as you speak the truth, you have nothing to worry about. Okay? You have nothing to worry about. And this when Allah teaches us the Sharia, the whole of the Sharia has come to preserve our dignity. Every aspect of it. Whether it's the way we dress, right? Whether it's when we get married, how we sleep, how we use the services, the toilet and everything like that. Everything that we do is preserving our honor and our dignity.
Yes.
Now?
Dignity.
Yeah, our dignity and our honor. These two aspects. Everybody agree?
Yes.
The next thing is lineage. Islam has come.
Preserve and protect.
Prioritize.
Come on now. Come on. Do it some chivalry. Go ahead.
Islam has come to preserve and protect, prioritize and always respect my deen, my mind, my wealth, my honor, my lineage, myself.
Now we're on lineage. Lineage is not just lineage. It is ancestry as well. Okay? Because lineage goes down, right? Ancestry goes up. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And Islam has come to preserve that. How?
Stay away from zina.
Zina has been made haram. Also, claiming to be somebody you're not. Carrying someone's name, which all African Americans need to look at. Going around talking about you Williams. Seriously. Allah's messenger cursed the people who go around claiming to be the sons of someone else. And, sorry? Yeah, you're supposed to. Then he mentions, call them by the names of their fathers. And if you don't, and that doesn't mean we call it America, we call it your last name. We've dummied everything up, or we've been taught everything in an ignorant fashion. It's not your last name. What is it? Your family name. Look at your passport. It's your family name. Is that your family? Is that your ancestry? Smiths? No. I mean, you don't become family through rape. Islamic principles here. A person does not become your family through force. That violates your honor and your dignity. Does everybody understand where we're coming from here?
Yes.
And there's a group of people out there today who are trying to tell people of African descent that are Muslim that it is haram for them to seek reparations. These people need to shut up. Because seriously, they need to what they say, stay in their own lane. They don't even, it's amazing that people want to tell us about our affairs when you come from despot countries. You come over here for economic and not Islamic gain. You act like Kafirs. And then you're going to tell us that something that we're doing is wrong, and they're wrong at that. Because that thing that we went through is not properly described as slavery. It's worse than slavery. It's genocide. It's a war crime. Or crime against humanity, because there was no war. Well, there were wars. But it's crimes against humanity. And there are reparations for that. International tribunals and for these reasons that Hajj Malik Shabazz was murdered. And martyred. Because if the issue were ever brought back to an international court, there would have to be reparations from all those companies who benefited from not just what they called slavery, but Jim Crow. And all the things that they're doing even today with the mass murder and incarceration of people of color in the United States. The disproportionateness of it all. And the level of it. I just saw a video where a cop is on the white cop's on the video. He's got his what do you call it thing? Camera and video and they're recording him. And he stops some lady and he says, why don't you make a phone call because I'm going to take you to jail and we're going to impound the car. She says, I don't want to put my hands down because I don't want to get shot. She says, he says, but you're white. He says, you're white. We only shoot blacks. I'm not joking. I just saw the video. I thought my wife saw it. I said, where did you get this from? It's a video. And I said, and they fired him. The chief of police comes on right at the end of the video and says, I don't know what was in his heart. Because I guess the guy said he was joking. Okay? But we know what was in his mouth. And he's fired. So they fired him. Alhamdulillah, that's the right choice to taking that. But the fact that is out there like that, and we see these things, all these things, if it was taken to the proper world authorities, the same board that says that we should pay a portion of our wealth to help the Jewish people, or quote-unquote Jewish people, who had this type of situation for a short period of time, what they called the Holocaust, right? Then what about us who endured this type of situation? And our whole culture as African people of descent can only be described as resistance from the moment we've been here. So those people, and we should not allow these people to speak on your behalf or to be browbeat by these people due to their ignorance. Okay? It touches on our dignity. It touches on our honor. It has erased a portion of our ancestry. And this violates the objectives of the Sharia. Now, I do agree that we don't need permission to get reparations. Reparations is a word that means repair, right? Well, we need to look at what needs to be repaired, and basically we can do most of that ourselves, and we need to stop asking people permission for that. Maybe they won't give you money. Who cares? I think most people are just wanting to argue about something. Most of these things can be repaired themselves, but that's a whole different conversation. My point is that someone else who has other issues shouldn't stand there and tell us about this, and this is a constant thing. We have the punching bag of the world, and then we have to stop and allowing this, okay, by articulating our points clearly and not feeling ashamed about it at all. May Allah bless us.
فهذا اللغة
اللغة يعني النسب. Nasab. Okay? Your nasab. Your nasab literally means your ancestry and your lineage, all in one word. You're up and you're down. And for this reason, marriage has been made lawful, and zina has been made haram, and it's illegal to call someone else to claim your children, or you to claim to be the children of someone else. When I say children, the lineage of someone else. Okay, you're not German. I don't care how many German names we have, or Irish or Scottish names. You are not Irish and Scottish. Okay? No. And then Allah says, and if you don't know the name, then what? Ikhwanukum fi din. And then we could go back to history and look at all those people from India and those people who were, what's the religion they had there? Hindu. When they came to Islam, what did they do? They changed their family names to represent their deen.
That's right.
So that there will be what? Distinction. Is distinction part of our deen?
Yes.
What's the first sign that distinction is part of our deen? Come on, no. A shahada. The very first thing, why do we have a shahada?
Declaration.
To distinguish between who is on a believer and who is a non-Muslim. You guys get the point?
Yes.
And that distinction carries over to having a beard, dressing in an appropriate way, covering a certain way. And so that distinction also comes in identification. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so we keep wondering why we don't get the respect and the dignity if we don't do the things that demand that respect and dignity. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Hey. My deen, my mind, my wealth, my honor, my lineage. Myself comes here in the middle. Okay? Myself. Because myself is all of these things as well. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
It's all part of myself. But here myself is in reference to nafsi. Okay? My nafs. And the word nafs is different from the word ruh. Right? Everybody, sometimes people have a problem with this. Hey, what was the difference between nafs and ruh? The ruh is in and of itself. The nafs is when the ruh enters the body. And now you have them together, it's called the nafs. Does everybody follow me?
Yes.
Now when the ruh leaves the body, then it's called what? Ruh. Capiche?
Kapah.
I don't know. You're right.
روح
Raha ya ruhu. In Arabic we say ruh and get out of here. You know, that's what ruh means. Ruh. And it's a curse too. You say a bad word to somebody with the word ruh. Get out of here. Because it goes.
نفس is respiration.
The nafs is not only what you breathe, because it comes into your body, right? And it goes out of your body, right? Does it ever stay for 24 hours?
No.
Unless you stay awake for 24 hours.
So are you saying ruh could mean soul?
No, I'm not saying any of the English words. Because some things can't be defined in the English language. Because the English language doesn't carry it in the Arabic concepts. So I'm not going to say soul or anything. We accept nafs wa ruh as a conceptual ideas, not ideas, but concepts in Islamic, ideology. Okay? We have a ruh. It is that thing that leaves our body when we go to sleep. It is that thing that is extracted out of our body at the time of death. When it enters our body, we call that combination nafs. Does that make sense? We do not need to define everything in English if there is not a word or words or phrases that complement that. You get my point?
Yeah.
We don't need to do that. And we have to remember that Arabic is richer than the English. So it's sometimes going to be very difficult to put, we can't even put Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim in English. Because the Rahman is a sifa, is a description. And Rahim is a description of Rahman. So we could say the extremely merciful to the believers, Rahman. We still can't translate Rahman then. Okay, the specific, generally merciful, extremely merciful in all ways to everybody. It doesn't flow in Fusha, in English. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we have to understand it, because we don't sometimes appreciate those things. And that's what class, taking step-by-step growth, is going to do for us. Now, time is up, and I'm going to, my nafs is different from my aql, right?
Right.
It includes it.
But includes it.
Yes.
Hey, well now. Does that answer the question?
Well, your nefs,
Not wise. Tell them not wise, Yunus.
I don't say that. I don't say
Not wise.
Myself, protecting.
Not wise.
Not protecting oneself from killing you.
Okay, so from the rights of the nafs is that you do not harm it.
No.
From the rights of what?
Yes.
Is that you don't harm it. How can you harm it? You can harm it by watching things that are inappropriate, by disrespecting its lineage and honor and making dinner and doing these things like that. You can dishonor it by wasting away your wealth. You can dishonor it by being kafir and all those things. All those things hurt themselves. But not most important, you can also harm it by physically harming it. Right? And the rule is, if you can't harm your nafs, what can't you do?
Harm others.
And no one can take your life, your nafs, except for bihaqq al-Islam. Okay, except for right from the Sharia. A nafsun bin nafs, or murtad. You get my point?
No.
And in the United States, we don't do any of that. Okay?
You come to the psychology.
We're just coming talking about the psychology for information purposes only, right? No, because people go crazy. Now, before we go, I'm going to give you your assignment for tomorrow. For Monday. Yom al-Ithnain, F1. That's correct.
Other than this one?
No, we have to stop so that we can give you the homework. Homework takes precedence. Prioritize. You have to know. Yes, ma'am. Sorry? I didn't give it to you yet. 1 second. I'm giving you your homework. You have to know. I want you to know, off the rip, these 5 things.
Off the wrist.
Off the wrist.
That's not a southern term.
That's not a term? Southern term?
Off the dome.
Off Off the top of your head. You have to know these off the top of your head. Okay, the first one is al-umuru bimaqasidiha. Al-umuru bimaqasidiha, which means legal rulings are determined by the intention of the act. That's number 1. Number 2, اليقين لا يزال بالشك. Which means certainty is not to be removed by doubt, by something doubtful, by something doubtful. أنا أقصد الإتمام بكلام ليوضح الأمر. Certainty is not to be removed by something doubtful. 3, المشقة تجلب التيسير. Difficulty immediately ordains, demands or ordains ease. I have to explain that. Difficulty immediately ordains or legalizes ease. I put it that way. No, because it's not more just legalizing it, it demands it. Does that make sense?
Mandates.
Mandates, okay, immediately mandates, thank you. Mandates. Thank you. Excuse me? Relief or ease. See, that's a good thing about, she said, relief or ease. Both are the same in English. You can put relief, okay? You can put ease. We're going to discuss these as legal terms, okay? Because the term we're using is Tafseer. Okay, guys?
Yeah.
But we're writing it in English so we can understand it in English terms. So it's ease or relief. It immediately mandates ease or relief. Mandates means that it not just legalize it, but you can demand it.
Yes.
Okay, you have the right for it.
Like a divorce.
Sorry?
Like, what's an example of that?
I'll give them all. See, I'm not going to give you examples of them now.
Okay.
I want you to learn them. Okay, meaning memorize them. And we can give you examples, but it's a lot of conversation at that point. But right now, I just want you to do it so that you can start thinking about it. Okay? Number 4.
What was that word before Tafseer?
Tajlibu. Tajlibu. Okay? If you guys cannot see it, then help each other out.
Can you just read number 2?
Number 2. Al-yaqinu la yuzalu بالشك. اليقين لا يزال بالشك. Don't worry, you'll get the poem on Monday. Inshallah. May Allah bless us to be here. Number 4. الضرر يزال. الضرر يزال. Harm must be removed. Harm must be removed. Okay? Number 5. العرف العادة. العادة محكمة. محكمة. العادة محكمة. Customs are to be considered when deciding on a ruling. Okay.
محكمة تابوته.
When
deciding
On a ruling.
Right.
on a ruling.
Or just when making decisions. Let's just put right here. You don't have to say that. When making decisions. Or you said considered in decision making. Customs are to be considered in decision making. Period. You get that? Customs are to be considered in decision making. Remember, the English is not Quran. Okay? It's arguable how someone can say it better. If you can say it better, tell me. We'll say it better. But what we're trying to what you're doing is to explain the concept of these 5 fiqh principles. These are the primary fiqh principles. That all of the rest of the fiqh rules in the world are born out of these. You can call the mother of fiqh principles. These are the mothers of the fiqh principles. Does that make sense? Yes. There's not a fiqh principle you can come from that doesn't come from these. We can say that with a fact.
So what's the name of it?
These? القواعد الفقهية. القواعد الفقهية الخمس. I gave it. I told you guys. It's from the usul. What I call it, the primary principles of fiqh. Say it 5 times. The 5 primary principles of fiqh. You guys said you could say it real fast. Ahmed. Now y'all having problems. You can't write that? Y'all making fun of my handwriting? I went to medical school. Even though I quit school, I kept the handwriting. So I'm not lying though.
Can you write it down? I'm gonna get all of it.
Ladies, we can bring it closer because the ladies are looking at me very.
That was the problem. I was questioning saying it better, but I couldn't see.
No problem. We're going to move it back there right now. We don't want any problem by anyone named Nzinga. We know what you did in history. You guys know Queen Nzinga, right? Yeah, she killed everybody.
Non-discriminatory.
No, she made a statement. She told the guys who were ready to give up, if you guys are going to give up, then pass us the weapons. Me and the ladies, we're going to go fight. I said, man. And she went for it. And won. Portuguese were very intimidated by Queen Nzinga. Of course, you can take a picture. Yeah, take a picture. Take a picture. Be much faster. No, alhamdulillah. Take a picture. All right. If there's no questions, remember you're going to be tested on this stuff on Yom Al-Ithnain. You will be tested as far as the 5 fiqh rulings. Astaghfirullah. The 5 fiqh rulings. Then what are they? Quickly. What are the 5 fiqh rulings?
Wajib.
Muhabba, no muhabba. Mustahab. And muhabba.
Muhabba is love.
Yeah, the muhabba, yani we talk about the aqidah now. You know, al-ikhlas wal-muhabba waffaqaka Allahu lima ahabba. Now, so we have wajib, which is obligatory, something Allah has commanded us to do, and we have to do, right? Or we open ourselves up for punishment. Some of you guys on your homework said, you're going to get punished. No, we don't have the right to say that. Okay? You open yourself up to a punishment. Okay? Then you have the mustahab, something we're told to do, and if we don't do it, then we're not open to a punishment, but we're open to the consequences of the dunya, of not doing that thing. Then we have the haram. The haram thing is what we're told not to do. It's not in any order. Don't worry about the order. The haram thing is that thing which Allah has told us not to do, and so when we don't do it, hoping for a reward, not because we couldn't do it. The people of fiqh, usul of fiqh, look at it. Let's say a person went to go rob a bank, but he saw the police hanging out there. So he went back. He can't say, well, I didn't rob the bank, so I get a good reward. No, he was prevented from robbing the bank. You know? Does that make sense? Yeah. So when you don't do it, because you chose not to do it, out of trying to please Allah, then you get a reward. And when you do it, you open yourself up for a punishment. The makruh is the same thing. You get told not to do something, but compliance is not demanded. So when you don't do it, when you do it, you don't open yourself up for punishment from Allah, but you get the consequences. You might get the consequences from the dunya of doing that particular act. Then you have mubah, that thing which is permissible. You're allowed to do it. We say it's given no attention until in place the actor gives it intention. Okay? So walking is not given any attention until we say where he's walking. Okay? What's his qasd? What's his intention? And likewise, the two. What are the plus two? Sahih and batil. What is sahih mean?
Necessary.
So a necessary condition to that thing. Give me an example.
Validates.
Something that makes it valid, right? And with the absence of it, it's invalid. Give me an example.
No.
And that's arguable. Okay? These things, which is good for you to understand. Somebody wrote some stuff too. Oh, he's not here today. But someone wrote things. Like, some of your examples, they're ikhtilaf. You can't say that. And this is why you start learning basic fiqh. Al-Fatiha, if you're praying by yourself, yes. Okay? Okay, so then if I'm praying, so you have to put that clarification in. If I'm praying by myself, I have to recite Al-Fatiha. Okay? But if I'm praying following somebody else, then there's difference. There's respectable differences. Okay? Whatever stance a person takes, he has to respect the differences that the other fuqaha. That's why we start off in first grade fiqh. What do we say? Respect the scholars. Ijtihad. Okay? I gave my word with heart and head to praise Allah till I drop dead. Send blessings on the Prophet and respect the scholars. Ijtihad. Okay? All Muslims must study and pray to fight shaitan in every way. Expect mistakes along the way. Repent to fight another day. That's the introduction to first grade fiqh. So we know that when there's ikhtilaf, we respect the scholars' ijtihad. Okay? And Allah knows best. Alright. So what's the other? What does batil mean?
Corruption.
So something that corrupts the action and then invalidates it, right?
Yes.
Give me an example.
Oil and water.
Oil and water to make wudu. Why? Because what changes the water?
The oil.
Well, I mean, what happened to? How do you know?
Changes the color. It
Because it
changes.
comes grease.
Right now, see, people say the color of this.
The water's polluted.
It's not running.
Comes impure.
Is it polluted or is it not pure?
It's not.
Okay, because it's not. The water itself is not unusable, but it's unusable for wudu. And that's why we wash our hands with water. That's why we taste it and why we drink it. I mean, sniff it to test it. And that's why some of the fuqaha say that's not part of the wudu. And just washing the face and everything like that is part of the wudu. That's added there in order to test the water.
Right.
To make sure that it is suitable for wudu. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we get to know the details of the Sharia so we can do it with those intentions.
Is breaking wudu while you're praying considered batil? Meaning
It's an invalidator of the salah. It's not considered batil because what's batil is a prerequisite, something you've done prior to.
Okay.
But no, you're right. It can be batil because now it invalidates the act. Even if you're doing the act and then something happens that invalidates it, it's batil. You can't do it like you say. You're in the salah. Let's say you're doing the funky chicken, in the salah. That invalidates the salah, right?
Yeah, excessive movement. Yeah.
Like some people, when they pray, they want to put their hands on their head. Or they want to put their hands at the side. And with their ability to hold their hands up. This invalidates the salah, some people would say. And Allah knows best. And then they come up with these things that we say, it's not a part of the salah, it's not this. The Prophet didn't have those criteria. Okay? These are things that we added into it. Does everybody make sense about that? The Prophet ﷺ said, pray like you see
me
pray. And he said that the one prayed poorly, he corrected him. He didn't say, well, you left off a fard, you left off a rukn. He didn't do all of that. These are, seriously, we have to, when we investigate the Sharia, we say, we made up all that stuff. Okay? We made that up. We made these distinguishes. So we have to put them in the proper context when we're studying it and exactly when we're applying them. Okay? Because what we want to do is we want to follow the Quran and the Sunnah along with the intention of that and the activity, those who implemented it and exemplified it from the companions of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the tabi'in, the atba' tabi'in, and then we hold still. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
أقول قولي هذا واستغفر لي ولكم. I'm sorry, I have to run uptown. I'm afraid it's going to get rained on today. Looks like it, right?
Maybe not.
Allah knows best, right? Now? Oh yeah, they're not. That's right. They are liars.